Tim Brennan here with Christian Media International. I'm here today with Pastor Sorin Badragan, who is in our studios this week recording Romanian preaching. Pastor Sorin is from Romania. He pastors and plants churches there, and just thought we'd take a few minutes here and ask him a few questions, introduce him to you, as well as explain his ministry and work there in Romania and the opportunity that he has and that we have to air gospel preaching there in the country of Romania and surrounding areas. So Pastor Sorin, morning. If you want to, just take a moment and introduce yourself, talk about your work there in your church in Romania, and then we can get into some of the other details of what's going on and the opportunities that you have.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I'm a minister in a Baptist church in Bucharest, Romania, and actually in the worst part of our city, where there is a large population of Roma people, and we minister to this population, especially through a school which we call Ruth School, and we have over 200 kids taking part in this school. We educate them and feed them. We also work with their parents, trying to help them to be more focused and more intentional and more involved in the lives of their kids. We also train Roma leaders from churches from all over the country. I'm also involved with our church in planting churches. We have 5 church plants, out of which 3 are among Roma communities, 1 in Bucharest and 2 other outside Bucharest, and the other plants are again outside Bucharest. I'm also involved in education, training ministers, dean of the Baptist Seminary in Bucharest. And I also teach in the University of Bucharest, where we have a college which trains young men and young women for theology and social work. Also a bit involved in the wider Baptist ministry. I'm president of the regional Bucharest Baptist Association. So I'm involved in all these things, hoping that the Lord continues to use our ministry and the gifts that He has given us to work so that His kingdom grows.
So now some may not know this, probably many may not know this, but Pastor, you're no stranger to television. In fact, Pastor has been on a program, a weekly program, there in Romania, one of the most watched programs in the entire country, in fact. Do you want to talk about how that came to be and the program that you're on now over there in Romania?
Yeah. We have a debate which takes place on a weekly basis, and I try to make room in my schedule to be around roughly monthly in a debate which has leaders from the main evangelical denominations, as well as from the Orthodox Church, which is actually the largest in the country. Some 86% of population are part or claim to be part of this church. And it is the most watched Christian program in the country. It is a great opportunity to witness, to explain the gospel, to look at differences, and help people understand that it's not about traditions, it's not about our deeds, but it's about the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Sometimes these talks are a bit heated, debates on the usage of icons, which Orthodox do a lot in our part of the world. The saints, the way we may appeal to them, and we explain that actually there is one way only, and that is Jesus Christ. And it is really a great opportunity to get across our message, and because it has such a wide audience, it has been really useful to get the message, and for people to see that evangelicals are not so that weird as in a majority, an Orthodox majority country. Anything that's not Orthodox or perhaps a Catholic, it's a sect, it's a cult. So people see that actually we love Jesus and the gospel, and that's how we want to live. It's really a good opportunity.
So I'll ask you one more question before we get to how can somebody who wants to support, help you. But I think besides the education that you've had and the opportunities that you've had on television, you also have a really unique perspective. Being born and raised in Romania, you've seen communism and now the country transition to democracy. How is it different today than 30 years ago, right around 1989, 1990, when the country was going through that transition? Is there anything that, are people more open today? Is it something where you have a better chance, or people are more willing to listen to the gospel presentation today than perhaps they used to be?
There are many changes. Of course, many of them are sociological, so social. In communist times, we were not that open, or people were not open to listen to us because evangelicals, because they feared persecution of various levels. And that was combined with the approach that the Orthodox Church had then too. But communists really fought against Christianity in all forms, especially against evangelical faith, also because it was believed that it was linked closer to the West. So evangelical faith came from the West, so they were very suspicious about this. But life was very tough for anybody who truly believed anyway. So that changed a lot. Of course, there are economical changes, political changes. Romania now it is a democracy. It's an immature one, and we have a long way to go. Many of our leaders throughout these 30 years since revolution actually had been communists or had links with the communists, so they baptized themselves after '89 and after our revolution. So those are many changes. There are also changes in what regards the spiritual scenario, and we had a good stand in the 90s, for example, when people were actually quite open. In fact, Billy Graham came to Romania in the late 80s, and that was a really good platform for us, and we picked up on that soon after the revolution took place. Stadiums, evangelizations, a lot of things being done, but now the work is much more difficult. It's one-to-one. It's using new opportunities, media, TV stations, the internet. So we face challenges quite similar to yours.
So with that being said, one of the things that obviously with Christian Media International, we'd love to be able to partner to broadcast the gospel to that country. If you were speaking to somebody, or if you could just explain and kind of summarize somebody who supports you and the ministry there in Romania, with that support, what are your plans? What would you do with all the people who support moving forward in the future What are you looking to accomplish? What are the opportunities or perhaps some of the open doors that you see in the next few months or few years for you in Romania?
I think we want to continue to help our church members to grow, basically to disciple them, in order to have a greater impact in the society. We, if I were to talk about myself and our ministry, we definitely want to continue to do the work we do among the Roma, serving them, loving them, and also evangelizing them. I think using the new technology is very important, very wise, and that's why CMI is doing a great job, because this is where people are. People are behind screens. Although I'm not a big fan, which shows that I'm old enough to remember the good old days when the book was the queen. But the reality is that people are behind screens, and are behind screens, TV screens, are behind computer screens, are, of course, they look in the mirror, and that is the mobile. So wiring, airing the gospel to them is one of the good ways to reach people.
You know, we've been to Romania now twice with Christian Media International. We had a trip last year, and then also, I believe 2 years ago or just over. And we've been to Pastor Sorin's church. We've seen the area where he ministers, and we're just we're privileged and proud to be able to be a friend of him and his ministry, and that God has opened these doors. And we do thank you for taking the time to watch this today. And if you would be so willing to support Christian Media International and our efforts to help Pastor Sorin and his ministry there in Romania, God has opened the doors. God has given blessing not only to start churches, to reach the fellow Romanians, but also the Roma people through the orphan ministry. And there's many open doors in a country that has recently, traditionally been known more for spiritual darkness. God is doing amazing things through Pastor Sorin, their ministry over there, turning that darkness into light. We thank you for the time today. We ask for your prayers and for your support to continue this great ministry. And we thank the Lord for what he's been able to do and for letting us be a part of it here with Christian Media International and Pastor Sorin today.